It's good to be back with Kaguya-sama, Love is War, third season finally out. One of my all-time favorites. Every time I sit down to watch a new episode, whether it's season 1, 2, 3, it feels the same, but somehow elevating the absurdity while making you simultaneously root for the main relationship, but at the same time, like I've said throughout multiple reviews, it's one of those things where you hope they never get together, but eventually do, because the longer they can't admit their feelings, the more we can have situations like arm wrestling, where they don't end up winning, either Miyuki or Kaguya, because of one actually being stronger than the other, or at the very least, proving one is stronger than the other, but more so because simple things can happen, like Kaguya being embarrassed after them holding each other's hands for so long. They easily could have actually arm wrestled, but instead they were so enthralled by holding their lover's hand, and the only reason Kaguya wins in that moment, which I'm willing to bet she would have won if they actually arm wrestled for real. But the fact that she got embarrassed because her hand was sweaty and that's why she obliterated our boy, that's why them not getting together is so goddamn hilarious. But at the same time, you can easily, just have them get together and then in return have even more embarrassing shit occur when they are dating, which is just the natural evolution, right? But to see, once again, another 3-part episode, we start the episode off with a pretty embarrassing plot line that, in normal circumstances, having people hear your music or what you're listening to shouldn't be that alarming. I mean, it's something that's just, you may have different tastes, but the idea that Miko, she's not just listening to soothing sounds, which at first it was like a rainforest, which, okay, that makes sense. You're listening to something to make you peaceful. And then it's construction for some reason, and I'm thinking to myself, what in the hell? How do you not have a migraine? Not only just listening to that in the general world, having earphones in that our boy, you can actually hear it from where he's sitting clearly. How is your eardrums, surviving that? But then to hear the, almost idle boys who are talking to you, whispering sweet nothings in your ear. You're perfect. If you need to cry, my shoulder's right here. And the fact that Best Boy Yu is doing everything in his power, despite being treated like absolute dog shit by her, to expose in a way that's not going to make her embarrassed, but at the very least recognize before something bad really happens. Because for him, if he was to reveal it, I mean, he's just going to get talked down upon. So he's like, you know what, we're going to try to do this in a casual way. Oh shit, Chica comes in. Well, it's not the worst thing ever if she hears it, because it's her, right? But if Kaguya or Miyuki pops up, it's all bets are off. And to see the escalation of, once again, such a basic, embarrassing moment that transitions to them acting like you is super embarrassing. Like, oh, your idol music, whatever you're listening to, we can hear it. I know how that feels. That's embarrassing. And then she still doesn't clue in because she just has that much resentment. And then to just see the death in them, the death of embarrassment for all of them. What a comedy gold way to kick off an episode of Kaguya-sama. And then to just casually do something that I love, which is Kaguya's basically lack of understanding technology. She's basically the 80-year-old man who just got a smartphone, and the idea of the read in a message, right? The idea that when you send a message, very much most devices, especially if you have a form of Apple, it will show you if you read the message. And for someone who's super embarrassed and is lovey-dovey with people, and the idea of reading and having someone sent on read for 2 hours and you come up saying, I just saw it. I love seeing the escalation because it starts off pretty nice with basically the maid trying her best to reveal it without making her master kind of die of embarrassment, to then it evolving into the entire student council who start getting annoyed. And I love the idea that he actually had a pretty good plan in order to reveal that information after dying from rejection, which is what he thought was happening. And I really felt like this was going to be the moment, oh, are you leaving me on red because you love me, sort of a thing. And the fact that they blue balls our boy so hard that he gets told that basically there's maids or butlers or a computer that reads everything before she sees it. The fact that he dies of embarrassment thinking everything he's ever said to her has now been read by the household. Holy shit, the idea of this episode just being embarrassment, that was the theme, starting it with the sweet nothings being whispered in your ear, the idea of thinking your messages are being read by the household and probably laughing their ass off at you, to then ending in the best arm wrestling match of the decade. I mean, it's no surprise Chica is a bit of a cheater because there's a part of her personality is so competitive that even if she could easily beat everyone, she would always try to do something, it feels like, to maybe get the edge. And I love how the after the credits scene is actually her losing to the person she's been making fun of in the episode. You just love that escalation and how everything just transitions so seamlessly. That's why I love Kaguya-sama. The voice actors continue to just bring their A game, and whatever the situation is, it feels like they perfectly represent that level of obnoxious, embarrassed, or lovey-dovey that they need to. And the new opening that they teased when the credits are playing at the end there, that's a bop. But, I mean, every Kaguya-sama opening has been a bop, let's be honest. But I mean, that's just what I love about this, is that every piece of it works in harmony. The over-exaggerated character models and the transitions into all these wacky backgrounds. The individual stories that by themselves are enough to be memorable, but when you combine them all together in an episode, it's hard not to rate an episode 10 out of 10, as the dynamics with the student council continues to be more and more entertaining, even if they all at a moment's notice might try to kill each other at the same time. That's what makes Kaguya-sama that goddamn great. The thing that makes me happy about this production is that it remains consistent, right? Even with a couple of year breaks in between seasons, like, it doesn't feel like when you pick up a new episode that anything's changed about it. Same art design, same presentation, same directing style, and that's what makes the future of this show so great, is that it feels like it will get a full adaptation, right? Even if it eventually ends up reaching a point, which I don't know in terms of how many chapters are out there, I don't know how long it will take for them to, like, be so caught up that it will take a decent wait for another season. But from what we've seen so far with this production committee, it seems like they're pretty dedicated to giving this one a full adaptation, no matter how long it takes. And the fact that, you didn't end up with, like, an Attack on Titan Season 1 to Season 2 gap, it just feels great. And I wouldn't be shocked in the slightest if it ever did get to the point where they were so caught up that they did mini-seasons, like 8-episode seasons or something. Or maybe they just stretched it a little more, because ultimately this is a show that deserves as many seasons as it needs, and I think to see how far the character development has actually come without negating any of the comedy is something that a lot of rom-coms struggle with, especially those that are more focused on the comedy generally. I mean, of course, we've had the emotional moments and we've had the romantic, but all things considered, Kaguya is a comedy first and foremost, with everything else being an added bonus. And it really is second to none in the rom-com department, if you ask me. But I'm a big fanboy of the series, and you pretty much know that if you've been watching the reviews since they started. But thoughts, if you have any, on the return of the wonderful Kaguya-sama Love is War? What do you hope to see maybe in this season, in terms of, like, maybe a situation that you've been dying to see? Maybe they'll finally give it this season. Let me know down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you're new around here. Till next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.